Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler Russo, and this is the KO Podcast, episode number 36. In this episode, I will be reviewing UFC on ESPN, Vera vs. Sandhagen. Also, I will be previewing this weekend's MMA action. We have Bellator 293, and we also have PFL starting their season this weekend. So we get a lot of MMA, even though there is no UFC this weekend. Ring that bell. All right, let's get into UFC on ESPN, Vera vs. Sandhagen. A pretty good card overall. Let's get into the first couple fights. The first fight of the night was a flyweight bout. We had Victor Almirano taking on Vincus Salvador. I believe that's how you say his name. And what a entertaining fight this was to start the card off. Victor Almirano, I believe that's how you say his name, gets the decision victory in a highly entertaining fight. And we move on to another flyweight bout. We had CJ Vergara taking on Daniel D. Silva. And what an insane fight this was. CJ Vergara was in loads of trouble in the first round. He turned into a track star, running, away from his opponent, trying to recover. He took a lot of damage, but De Silva got super tired as the fight moved on, and CJ Vergara gets the second round to finish. What an insane fight this was. Moving on, we had a welterweight bout. We had Trevin Giles taking on Preston Parsons, and Trevin Giles gets the decision victory. Moving on, we had a featherweight bout. We had Steven Peterson taking on Lucas Alexander, and Lucas Alexander gets the decision victory. Steven Peterson lays down his gloves after this bout, and he retires. Congratulations on a great career, Steven Peterson. Hopefully, your retirement, you get a lot of rest, and hopefully you enjoy a lot of family time. Again, congratulations on a great career. Moving on to the main card. Before I get into this, one of the fights did drop out. I don't know if I believe it was during the event. On this main card, we were supposed to have a flyweight bout. Alex Perez taking on Manel Kape. And unfortunately, Alex Perez suffered a seizure, I believe, backstage while he was warming up. And that is why this fight got canceled. And we'll see if they reschedule these two to fight at a later date. But very scary incident for Alex Perez. I hope that he is healthy, and I hope everything is okay with him medically. Now, let's get to the main card. Because that fight fell out, Daniel Pineda was elevated to the main card. So we had a featherweight bout. We had Daniel Pineda taking on Tucker Lutz, and Daniel Pineda gets the submission victory in the second round. He keeps his 100% finish rate intact. Very impressive by him. Also, it was a huge win because this was in his home of Texas, so big win for him. Moving on, we had a middleweight bout. We had Chidi Inedokukwe taking on Albert Durif, and Albert Durif gets the decision victory. Moving on, we had a women's flyweight bout. We had Andrea Lee taking on Macy Barber, and Macy Barber gets the decision victory. I scored this fight for Andrea Lee. A judge gave Macy Barber a 30-27, which is ridiculous in my opinion. This fight was definitely much closer than a 30-27. That's just another problem with this commission. Obviously, big drama happened at Fury FC. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Moving on, we had a featherweight bout. We had Nate Landwehr taking on Austin Lingo, and Nate Landwehr gets the submission victory in the second round. Always entertaining, Nate Landwehr is. He was very entertaining on the mic after the victory. Moving on to the co-main event, we had a women's bantamweight bout. We had Holly Holm, the former UFC bantamweight champion, taking on Yana Santos, and Holly Holm gets the decision victory. Big win for her. She just signed a new 6-fight deal, so very interested to see what her next move is in this bantamweight division. There's not, a whole ton of new contenders in this division, so she is still very much alive for a title shot at some point in this division. She, obviously has had a bunch of title shot opportunities, so we'll see what happens in the future with Holly Holm. Moving on to the main event, it was a bantamweight bout. We had Marlon Vera taking on Corey Sandhagen, and Corey Sandhagen gets the decision victory. Corey Sandhagen's movement really froze Marlon Vera, and Marlon Vera just really, his timing was not there. He was waiting a lot, just kind of couldn't really read Sandhagen's movements. And because Sandhagen, he moves constantly around the octagon. He's always on his toes. And a great performance by Corey Sandhagen, really to prove that he is not going anywhere in this division. During this fight, with Marlon Vera, obviously, he's a slow starter. And I was just looking to see when that crazy blow was going to hit and knock out Sandhagen, but it didn't happen because Sandhagen obviously fought a wonderful fight, and Marlon Vera, like I said, never really got going. He couldn't really get any offense consistently to land on Corey Sandhagen. So big win for Corey Sandhagen to tell this bantamweight division that he is not going anywhere. And Marlon Vera, I'm sure he will be back at some point. Still an amazing fighter. So interested to see what they do with both of these guys moving forward. Now let's get to this weekend's action. All right, let's get to Bellator 293. Let's look at their prelims. A lot of interesting prospects on this prelim portion of the card. Of course, that is always free on YouTube. Let's get into the fights. We have a women's strawweight bout. We got Maria Henderson fighting. She is 2-0. She is the wife of Benson Henderson, who just recently retired. So now he's going to be helping her out, full time now. So excited to see how Maria Henderson does. Another fight on this preliminary card. We got Mike Hamill and Nick Brown. We also have Christian Edwards taking on Rakeem Cleveland. Christian Edwards is going up to heavyweight in this fight. We also have Adam Piccolotti and Madel Nalo. And we have Joey Davis fighting on the prelim card too. We got Lucas Brennan. And we have Lance Gibson Jr. taking on Vladimir Tokov. So those are just some of the prelims that I think are pretty stacked with some interesting prospects. Now, let's get to the main card. Speaking of prospects, we got two prospects going against each other in this fight. We got Sullivan Cully taking on Luke Trainer in a light heavyweight bout. Both of these guys are hot prospects for Bellator in this light heavyweight division. Excited to see both of them face off. Sullivan Culley is only 5-0, and Luke Trainer is 6-1. Luke Trainer is 6'5". Always forget how big he is. But as I said, excited to see this fight. Moving on, we have a lightweight bout. We got another prospect, Archie Colgan, taking on Justin Montalvo. Archie Coleman is 6-0. He's looked pretty good in his bouts so far. Excited to see how this one goes for him. Moving on, we have a middleweight bout. We got John Slater taking on Aaron Jeffrey, and Aaron Jeffrey has exploded on to the Bellator scene. Very impressive wins in his Bellator fights. So now he gets an opportunity against a veteran like John Salter. Big opportunity for Aaron Jeffrey. Moving on to the co-main event of the evening, we have a women's featherweight bout. We have Kat Zingano taking on Leah McCourt. I expect the winner of this fight to face Chris Cyborg whenever Chris Cyborg returns to Bellator. I believe she is still not signed yet, but they are working on that. Kat Zingano has wanted a fight with Chris Cyborg for a long time now, and Leah McCourt has been working her way up in this women's featherweight division. She's still only 7-2, so still very young in her career. I'm excited to see how both of these ladies grappling, how they mesh together. Kat Zingano is obviously a great grappler, and so is Leah McCourt. So this might be a grappling battle. Moving on to the main event, we have a heavyweight bout. We got Marcelo Gome taking on Daniel James. Obviously, these guys are not the biggest names in the MMA world, but Daniel James did have a very impressive Bellator debut in his last fight. He stopped Tyrell Fortune in the second round of his Bellator debut, and that was an insane uppercut that he caught Tyrell Fortune with. So Daniel James, he's got power, he's entertaining on the mic. Enjoyed his post-fight interview. That was very entertaining. And Marcelo Gome, very tough heavyweight. So will this one be a quick fight? Who knows with the heavyweights? We really never know. One shot can change everything in a heavyweight fight. So very excited to see all of these prospects in this event. And as I said, we have an important women's featherweight co-main event. And to top it all off, we have the heavyweights to finish out the night. Now let's get to PFL. PFL 1 is the opening card for the 2023 regular season for the PFL. If you do not know, the PFL is the only MMA league that has a season format, which is very interesting and, a different take on MMA. So let's get into this card. I did not cover the championship fights on the podcast because I didn't get the pay-per-view, but by now we know the results that happened. Kayla Harrison lost to Larissa Pacheco. That was really crazy, to be honest, because she had beaten Larissa Pacheco 2 times prior to that. But I will get into the winners of last season as I go down this card. So first off, in the main event, we have a featherweight matchup. We got the featherweight champion Brandon Loughnane taking on Marlon Moraes. And I'm not really sure about this matchmaking, to be honest, because if you remember, Marlon Moraes' last fight was his PFL debut, and that was against Shayman Moraes, and Marlon Moraes looked really good early on in that fight, but then he started to fade, and Shayman Moraes finished Marlon Moraes in that fight. So now they're giving Marlon Moraes to Brandon Lockman, who is the featherweight champion of PFL. So this fight, may be a little crazy because Marlon Moraes does start pretty strong. So we'll see how he does, but I'm expecting Brandon Lockman to win this fight. Moving on, we got a light heavyweight bout. We have the PFL light heavyweight champion of last season, Robert Wilkins, and he's taking on Thiago Santos. This is Thiago Santos's PFL debut. He was one of their big signings in the offseason, so very excited to see how Thiago Santos does in this new organization. Moving on, we got another light heavyweight bout. We have another former UFC fighter in Christoph Joko. He's taking on Will Fleury. And moving down the line, we have a featherweight bout. We got Chris Wade taking on Bubba Jenkins. This is the second time that these two guys are going to face off against each other. So this PFL card looks pretty good. This is, of course, the first one of the season. Very excited that PFL is back and is in action. Of course, the more MMA, the better. And now I want to talk about the incident that happened at Fury FC 76. That happened the night before the UFC event that happened in San Antonio. Just a crazy situation that happened. And let's get right into that. First, I want to play the announcer audio from that event because that's really going to give you the context of how serious this situation was.
He's back in front of him, puts him back in guard. Here we go. Here's a triangle. He's got to figure for it. He's got it. This is tight. This is very, very tight. This is as deep as they get.
Wow, squeezing with everything. Yes, he is
Vasquez
out.
is asleep.
He is out.
Is he out? I think Vasquez.
Is he out?
No, he's not. He's moving his hands.
Oh, man.
He's breathing like he's out. He's breathing like he's asleep. Look at his leg. He's out.
He is out.
He's out.
I think he's asleep. He's out. No.
Yeah, he's out.
Wow.
He's out. Frank, he's out. He's out.
Frank, what? Oh my gosh, Frank, it's done. Frank, it's done. What are you doing? It's done.
I think he's tapping with his foot.
What is he doing?
So it's crazy.
Tap. Oh my gosh, what is happening? Frank Colazzo.
So what was nuts, the triangle put him out for sure. And then Chira switched off to the armbar, and he woke up out of the triangle into the armbar, tried to fight it, and then tapped.
No, you saw his legs shaking like that was it.
He was out, and you can tell. I've seen that so many times. Whoa.
The doctor was yelling across the cage, he is out, stop the fight.
Whoa.
What is going on with these people tonight?
And after hearing that, you can tell that the announcers were panicking and they were fearing for that fighter's life. And that should just not happen when you're supposedly having a trained referee in there. Basically, what happened was referee Frank Colazzo, he just watched this poor man get put to sleep with a choke, and he was out for a long time. And then the other fighter transitioned into an armbar, and that's when the unconscious fighter gained consciousness because of the pain that he felt from that armbar, and he came out of that fight with injuries to his elbow and shoulder, I believe. What an capable referee, I have to say, with all due respect to how hard that job is. What the hell are you doing? You're watching a human being getting choked unconscious for 30 seconds, and you can tell that he's out because of the way he's breathing, and the referee is just standing there, not doing his job, not intervening. And Frank Cazalo, he was able to be a judge at the UFC event the next night. There was no period of cool down. There was no, he didn't make the right call, he is not going to be allowed. No, they let that man into the building. In my opinion, he should not be near another MMA event until he gets retrained or gets fired, because he has the fighters' lives in his hand. And that is a huge responsibility. I understand that we make mistakes as humans, that we're not perfect. But Frank, what the hell are you doing, man? You could have killed that fighter. He's already injured with his arm now. What is going on? He should be nowhere near another MMA event for as long as he doesn't understand how to referee an event. And obviously, I don't understand why he was even allowed to judge again. There's absolutely no responsibility for these refs when they make bad calls and when they put people's lives in danger. Usually when you don't do your job right, you get reprimanded, but he didn't. He just went on with his day and decided, the commission decided, let's have him go judge an event after he almost got a fighter killed and he got the fighter injured. That's just despicable. What are you doing? Texas, their commission is a mess. I don't understand what is going on down there. You're professionals. Your job is to protect the fighters, the people who put their lives on the damn line. And you just made a fool out of the whole commission by having this referee a fight like that. That is stupid. That is insane. And that's dangerous to the fighters. And that is my rant. I hope that Frank Cazalo, or whatever the hell his name is, never refs an event again. That was despicable. He's going to get somebody hurt, and worse, he may get somebody killed. And by him refereeing a fight like that, that puts a bad name on all of MMA, every organization. It puts a bad look on the sport, and it makes the sport go backwards. And that is why we need to have better referees, train them more or something, or fire them after they do something like this, because again, somebody could get killed. And that is gonna do it for this episode of the KO Podcast. On my Instagram and Twitter, I have a link tree there in the bio, so click on that and all the links for the KO Podcast will be there. It is the easiest way to see where the podcast is on all the social media platforms, so I definitely encourage you to click that link tree and check out all of the other platforms that this podcast is on. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye-bye.